welcome back to Flat Tire Farm. Today we're taking a field trip. We're gonna go visit Musher Beckie. Remember, she's the one that adopted Hazel and Griffin, and she's gonna teach us about dog mushing today. And we'll get there in just a moment. Here we are. Miss Becky says drive in slow. Dogs are barking.
I'm Musher Beckie, and thank you for coming to Dream Big Kennels today.
All right, Musher Beckie, tell me a little bit about your property.
I live on about 4 acres in Caswell Lakes, Alaska. I live in a mushing community. You can hear somebody's feeding their dogs in the background. Within about a half a mile, there is almost 150 dogs, mostly sled dogs. I live in a 30-foot yurt with a 12-foot yurt that is an Arctic entry, and have a pretty amazing view in the back.
There's so many miles of dog sled trails in Alaska that Miss Becky can go straight from her yard all the way to Nome on a dog sled. Okay, now we're gonna do questions and answers with Musher Beckie. All right, Musher Beckie, what is dog mushing? I don't think everybody knows.
No, so dog mushing is, it's actually been around for a long time. Dogs have been used for transportation for a long time, especially in the northern hemisphere. They travel really well in snow. They like the cold temperatures where horses and oxen and other things that have been used don't thrive. Now it's not necessarily used for transportation, but it is more of a sport. It's a lifestyle. People use it for recreation. It's a good way to get out into the wilderness and be quiet. You don't have to worry about a motor.
Yeah. Now, in some parts of the state and in like Siberia and things like that, they are still using dog sleds and mushing as a way of transportation.
They are. They really are. And for most people, dogs are actually more reliable than snow machines or any kind of mechanics. 40 below, the dogs actually do really well in those temperatures, whereas your snow machine or snowmobile, whatever, wherever you're from, will freeze up. They don't run out of gas. You just have to feed them and pet them and tell them they're doing great and they're good to go.
Hi, buddy. Okay, Musher Beckie, who's this?
This is Otto. Otto is he's one of our lead dogs. He is 7 years old and also likes to go hiking. He goes biking. He knows how to high five. He sits. Yep, sits. He likes to sleep in the house in the wintertime. Yeah, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Otto, he's fabulous at posing for pictures. What do you think is the most important thing about mushing that you think people don't know?
That we do have relationships with each of our dogs. We spend a lot of time with them. And so for them, this is something that they love to do, and we are just enhancing that. But you have to have a relationship with each individual dog. Yeah, we scoop a lot of poop, but we also pet a lot of dogs. So.
How many dogs do you have?
I own 40. I have 37 sled dogs, which are Alaskan Huskies. They're not Siberian Huskies that a lot of people are expecting to see, the pretty puffy black and white dogs with the big blue eyes. And then I have 2 boxers, purely entertainment. They're alarm system for the property. And then I have a Curly Bear dog that is for protection for the property. He chases moose and bear and critters and things that come onto the property away from everything that I have.
Okay, Musher Beckie, how do you take care of all of these dogs by yourself?
I do have help. This is Willow.
Hi, Willow.
Willow's been helping me for the summertime.
And and what's her job?
She is what we call a handler. So she does chores for me on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
So she does your laundry? What kind of chores, Miss Becky?
No, she feeds the dogs.
Oh.
The dogs, that's why they're barking right now.
Oh.
They're expecting their breakfast.
It's breakfast time.
Yeah.
And so does Miss Willow live somewhere else?
She actually lives in this yurt over here.
You're so nice to provide her a home. All All right, Musher Beckie, how much does it cost you every month to feed all these dogs?
Anywhere from $1,600 to about $3,200, depending on how many donations I get of freezer meat and local butcher shops getting rid of their trimmings and that kind of things. But a pallet of dog food lasts me a little over a month, and that is about $1,600.
What do the dogs eat?
So the dogs eat high protein and high fat. So they eat a very high quality dog kibble. It's about 500 calories a cup. With my kennel, I do feed a lot of meat. By meat, it's beef or salmon.
So you're able to find sources to be able to supplement the dog's kibble, maybe for free?
Yeah, it's actually really nice. So I do have a lot of friends in the area that are hunters. So when they hunt, they bring me their scraps that they trim off of their moose or their caribou, which is perfect for the dogs. Salmon, during the salmon run, I actually had several friends that were fishing. They would bring me the bodies. Sounds gross, but it's perfect.
The heads and the parts.
The heads and the parts,
Yeah.
so, which is perfect for the dogs. They love it. They love fish head and tail day. So the bags that we have, these are about 15 pounds ground beef. As you can see, very, very fatty, which is good for them. And down on the bottom shelf is actually a bunch of freezer burnt meat that have been given to me. Dogs will be eating halibut, and we got some ground moose, and yeah, things that would have been thrown away actually are really, really good for them.
So what you're telling me is this is a zero waste dog mushing.
Pretty much, yes.
You're awesome. How many calories do these dogs eat in a day?
Anywhere from 10 to 20,000 calories.
Holy bucket. How fast can your fastest dog run?
Depends on if they're pulling something or if they're just free running.
If they're pulling
If they're pulling something. I have been literally drugged down the trail. My GPS said 17 miles an hour.
That is fast.
Yep. My dogs are not sprint dogs. They are distance dogs. So they are meant to do long distance on a consistent pace. When we're training anywhere from 8 to 10 miles an hour, which is a nice moving trot for them. And they can sustain that for 20 to 30 miles without really having to stop.
Wow.
Yeah. We stop every about an hour or so, let them just take a quick break, but they more than likely are turning around looking at me like, why are we stopping?
So they don't want to stop.
Mm-mm.
They want to run.
Yeah, they do. A lot of people are like, how do you get them to pull? I'm like, how do you get them to stop? That's literally what we work on is our resting and our stopping. These guys want to go. Natural instinct for them is to pull. That's not something that we have to train them to do.
Wow.
Even as puppies, putting them in a harness, they're kind of like, oh gosh, what is this? But as soon as you put them in, they kind of lean forward, and that's their natural instinct.
Oh, wait. Very interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Musher Beckie, who is this beautiful puppy?
This is Peanut. Peanut is a lead dog. She just turned 8 this summer. She actually is a Iditarod finisher. She's ran Iditarod several times with friends of mine. And yeah, she's a good girl. She's a good girl. She likes the coast. She likes wind. She likes it tough.
She's a hard lady.
She is a hard lady. She's a good girl.
What's the longest race that you have run?
400 miles.
How long does that take? With rests and everything?
About 4 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you sleep in the sled, or how does that work?
Most of the races have what we call checkpoints.
Okay.
Checkpoints are where you're going to find your race officials, your drop bags, which you've sent out ahead of time that has all your supplies that you're working with.
Like dog food?
Dog food, yeah.
Okay.
Food for myself. You see these harnesses. We might have a couple harnesses in there for them. If we need booties, when we are racing, the dogs will wear booties on their feet to protect their pads.
All right, Musher Beckie, who is this?
This is Bing.
Hi,
Bing is 13. She's a retired lead dog. She's a good girl. She's also small. She's about 35 pounds, but one of my best leaders. A lot of people ask us, how do we know if they don't want to run? They tell us. She retired herself by laying down. Didn't want to go anymore.
And you didn't force her?
Didn't force her.
Because you love her.
Exactly.
All right, so some of you may have seen that the dogs that are mushing wear these little booties. Now, Miss Becky, tell me, how much does one of these little booties cost?
$1 a piece.
$1 a piece. And how long can a dog wear it before it wears out?
anywhere from 40 to 80 miles when we're running in snow. Even a little tiny pinhole will collect snow and ice and defeat the purpose of putting the booties on their feet.
And the dogs wear the booties to keep their feet warm?
To protect their feet. Dogs sweat through the bottoms of their feet, so this material allows them to do that. It's kind of like if you were running, you'll get swamp foot.
Okay.
The dogs do the same thing. If we are doing long distance racing, a lot of people will put a foot powder in there to help the dogs prevent athlete's foot.
Oh, really? So this booty is not to keep their feet warm, but just to keep the pads protected?
Correct.
And the ice from balling up underneath their little pads?
Correct.
Very interesting.
Yep.
She's a good girl.
All right, who is this?
This is Chili. Chili is also an Iditarod veteran. She comes from Wade Mars, who is an Iditarod veteran as well. And she's retired from racing, but also one of my best lead dogs. She's another little girl, about 35, 40 pounds. And yeah, she's a good girl.
You mentioned that the dogs are not real happy in the summertime, but they are fine in the wintertime. Isn't it cold? I mean, it's like 40 below zero here. How come they're just outside?
So with our dogs, I actually have about 14 dogs that do like to come in the house. Most of them don't. It's too hot. Even my fancy yurt, it's usually around 60, 65 degrees. The dogs with their double coats will get too warm. They are built for that type of weather. Their double coats actually help insulate against the heat as well. So you never want to shave a double coated dog. Everybody's like, why don't you shave them? Because what it does is it messes with their internal thermostat. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So in the winter time, these guys, they have their double coat. They have the downy layer that is real soft and real squishy, and that keeps their body heat in as much as they need to. Their outer layer, their guard hairs, is what will kind of trap the heat inside.
Okay.
Ideal running temperature when we're racing and training, for my dogs specifically, they like between 25 and 35 below.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they like it way colder than I like it.
Yes. Yes. Ideal temperature 20 below is perfect temperature for them. The coldest I've ever ran was about -65.
Holy bucket.
The dogs did great. When it is that cold though, we talked about the calories. They actually will increase. They need more calories, so you're feeding them constantly. Chunks of fat, chunks of meat. Kibble doesn't really have that caloric density, but it is going to be the fat and the meat that you're going to be feeding them at that time.
Okay, Musher Beckie, who is this?
This is Toes. She is also a lead dog. She's 5 years old.
Hi, baby.
And we were talking about their hair coat. She actually this is that really soft, fine hair that keeps them really, really warm in the winter. She is just getting ready for winter by blowing that coat.
Sweet girl.
Yeah, she's also a lead dog. And fun fact, she only has 3 toes on her back foot.
Oh, that's why your name is Toes.
That's why her name is Toes. She was born like that, but it does not slow her down. She's done a 300-mile race and also likes to sleep in the house in the wintertime. Good girl.
Musher Beckie, Toes likes to sleep inside in the winter?
Yes, she sure does.
You let your dogs decide if they want to come in or not?
I do.
You are very nice,
yes.
Musher Beckie.
Yes.
Now, if you remember, Musher Beckie got Hazel and Griffin. Remember those babies that we saved from being frozen? So it's their feeding time. Let's go check in on them.
Hi, are you ready?
Huh? Well, hi, Griffy. How's my friend? I missed you, buddy. Oh, Hazel's all about the food.
She is. She is all about the
She's
food.
like, friend or not.
Yeah.
Hi, girl. Hi, sweetheart. Can you teach us a little bit about a mushing dog's doghouse?
Yeah, so a lot of people are concerned about the size. The dogs, when they are in their houses, they're actually what we call a husky ball. They'll curl up, they put their tail over their nose, and that's how they keep warm. So we don't want them real big because they use their body heat and it just condenses inside the house. The other thing that we do, we're getting them ready. Right now it's been raining constantly, so we don't want to put too much in there, but we'll use straw. Straw is a very, very good insulator. And I go through about 25 bales a season. About every week or 2 weeks, depending on how cold it is, everybody gets new straw, especially if we're going to go into a cold snap, which is, 30 to 40 below zero. The nice thing what I've been doing with my houses is actually having removable lids. So in the springtime, we clean out all of the straw so they have nice, fresh houses. If it does get wet in there for whatever reason, it's super easy for us to be able to clean that out and make sure that their house is nice and dry for them. That's really important in the winter time.
Okay, how come all the dog houses I see are off the ground?
So these platforms are really nice in the summertime. The dogs all have their own shade. They can go underneath, they can lay up on top, they can go in their house, but that's their own space. In the winter time, we get a lot of snow. And if I don't want to have to unbury houses all the time, having them up on these platforms actually reduces our workload here a lot. So we can actually focus on conditioning the dogs, being with the dogs instead of shoveling snow.
How high does the snow get here?
On the dog houses, actually this last year we had snow. It was packed down by the dogs, but it was to the top of the platform. So it was about 3 feet of packed snow. The unpacked snow was the lights. We had to duck to go underneath them.
How high up are those lights?
About 10 feet.
In our orchard, the snow was you could only see the tops of the apple trees in the snow.
Yeah.
Why is the dog bowl off the ground?
So all of that snow that we were get here, this actually helps keep the bowls off the ground and out of the snow. It also contains the bowl to help it from tipping when we fill it with water for each of the dogs, and also when we feed them. You've seen the elevated pet dog bowls. It's kind of the same thing for these guys.
Ooh, and you have a zero waste.
Zero waste. This is actually from an old 50-gallon barrel.
Fancy.
And the dogs, they can chew on it, but they can't wreck it.
Musher Beckie, how come you have all the dogs' names on your refrigerator on a cookie sheet?
So what this does is it has all of the dogs' names, and the color is actually the size of their harness. Just like wearing a good pair of running shoes, their harnesses are really, really important. They need to make sure that they have the right size harness on.
All right, what are you doing over here, Miss Becky?
So we are going to run a dog team, and we're basically creating our roster. Today we're going to run Cole and Peanut, 2 of my best lead dogs, because we're training puppies. I'm probably going to use Vanny because he also is a really nice what we call front end dog. We use voice commands to direct the dogs where we need them to go, so I need them to listen, especially if I'm focusing on puppies. I'm going to run Cappy, who is one of my best little wheel dogs, super friendly, and he's real good with babies that have never actually been in harness before. And then...
Okay, this is the final lineup. We have 6 well-trained dogs and 2 puppies written in dry erase. All right, Musher Beckie, here's the sleds, but don't we need snow?
We do for the sleds, but in the fall, we're going to use this instead.
all want to run.
Good boy. Girl. Good dog. Good dog. Yep, yep. Gee. Good dog. Good girl, Peanut. Good dog. Good boy, Oink.
Now, if you think you might want to come this winter and do a kennel tour with Musher Beckie at Dream Big Kennels, you get to meet the dogs and even go on a dog sled ride. I'll leave our contact information on the screen above and in the description below.
If you want to follow us on social media, Dream Big Kennel on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see what Topper does in the wintertime.
Thanks for joining us at Flat Tire Farm. Thanks, Musher Beckie, for letting us come out today. We're going to come back this winter and see how racing season goes.